Zankyou no Terror returns this week, bombs a-blazing. This is an anime series with some incredible attention to detail, an engrossing story which also happens to be culturally relevant, and it also happens to have some nasty production value. The first 2 episodes alone have shown me that this series has the potential to be one of the greatest anime series of all time. If you're a fan of anime, watch this show. This is the series that is grounded in realism. In fact, it's so real, they could have just done the show in live action and it would have probably been cheaper. But the fact that it's an anime allows them to do a lot of really interesting things with the artwork, and of course everything just looks gorgeous in the series. The intro alone should be enough to grab you, but every single background just looks amazing. Not to mention the main characters of the show, 9 and 12, look like they're going to be pretty mysterious and have some really intriguing backstories, which they do kind of get into a little bit this week, but they don't really explain anything outright. Basically, this week's episode, we get to see them perform another terrorist attack, and we also get to see how the police force is sort of reacting to all of this. But what I really loved about this episode is the attention to detail. I love how they actually went back and showed us how their bombs actually worked when they took that building down. Apparently, they had these bombs that would actually melt the pillars of this building, and that's what brought it down. What was also really cool is, surprisingly, no one died during this attack, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that they did pull the fire alarm, and this gave people an opportunity to leave, and only a few people were injured, but not a single person died. However, after the terrorist attack this week, I don't know how some people were able to escape all of that debris exploding, and the build-up to it was fantastic, but what I also loved about it is it actually made me glad that I paid attention to this one class I took in school called Theater Appreciation, because one of the big riddles they throw out to the police force this week involves the story of Oedipus Rex. It looks like one of the things that 9 and 12 are going to do is they're going to release a YouTube video before they do a terrorist attack, and they're going to try and give a riddle to the police force. And the one that they give this week is, what walks on 2 legs, then walks on 4 legs, and then walks on 3 legs? And they were trying to do some research on this, and this led them to the story of Oedipus, and this led them to this other riddle, which is, what walks on 4 legs, then walks on 2 legs, then walks on 3 legs. And I've heard this riddle before, and it's man. However, the reverse is their riddle actually has a different answer. It's actually Oedipus themselves. And what they do is, throughout the course of the episode, they lead the police into thinking they're actually going to be bombing another building, but they actually led all of the police away so that they could actually destroy their actual building. And it's really awesome, because you actually get to see how it all goes down. You get to see how they slyly sort of snuck in. There was actually 9 who actually snuck in himself. He was pretending to be a noodle delivery guy, and he was able to put up a camera as well as the bombs themselves. And it was really intricate and it was really nice. There was also another funny scene where there was the character of Lisa, who was at this manga shop, who was actually reading the manga version of Oedipus Rex, which maybe she sort of understood what they were trying to do in this situation, and she actually runs into 12 again, who looks like he's just trying to mess with her a little bit. He actually does this thing where he gives her this, like, cola and green tea, and then throws a Mentos in there, and it starts to explode in her hands, just to show that they can create funny bombs as well. One of the more important things to take away from this episode is there's that one former detective character who's now a teacher who was asked to come back to the police force because at the end of the second terrorist attack, he actually knew the answer to the riddle. He just didn't answer it quick enough, and thus the building exploded. But that's pretty much it. It looks like he's going to be heavily involved in this story, and I cannot help but get this sort of, like, Death Note vibe from this, the whole, like, detective trying to figure out who the terrorist is. However, I'm really interested to learn, like, what the whole deal is with 9 and 12's backstory, and why they seem to have it out for Tokyo in particular. In fact, we even got to see in the first episode they were stealing plutonium. I mean, you just don't walk into a store and buy plutonium! So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Zankyou no Terror? I really loved this episode a lot. I loved the pacing of it. I loved the mystery they're keeping behind the main characters, because they could easily just give us the answers outright. But this is supposed to be a short-lived anime series. I believe it's only supposed to be 11 or maybe even only 12 episodes long. So this gives them a lot of time to develop them and create this nice little short story, and everything's working really well here. The production value is obviously one of the best things about this show. Everything just looks really gorgeous. All the character designs are nice and distinct from one another. Even the side characters look awesome. 9 and 12 are really mysterious. In this week's episode, they barely do anything. Basically, you just get to see them having a little bit of witty banter between each other. They're building a bomb, and you get to see one of them deliver it. And of course, there's that one funny scene where 12 is messing with Lisa, and I'm really interested to see how her character is going to evolve as well, because there was another scene at the beginning of the episode. You get to see a little more what's going on in her home life, and her mother seems to have an estranged relationship with her because her father left, and it just seems really messed up. Like I said, as Marty McFly would say, shit is heavy. This whole show just has this weight on it, like when I'm watching it. It just puts me in sort of like this very strange mood. And it's not too many times I can say that a show can actually do that. And I think that's a very powerful thing. The actual show, I really think, is going to blossom into something really, really nice. But the whole deal with this whole VON thing, I'm not really sure where that's leading. It's obviously going to have to do something with 9 and 12's backstory, and obviously they were really screwed over by some sort of organization. And the police force do mention that if the public were even to hear about this, they would start panicking about it as well. So there's a lot of aspects of this world that we don't know about quite yet, even though it is sort of still set within a very realistic modern day setting. Otherwise, this was another awesome episode of the series, which had incredible production value. That's the best thing about it. Just the story is good, the artwork, the animation is amazing, the voice acting is great. There manages to be a little bit of humor in there just to make you realize that yes, everything's going to be okay. But still, this is a pretty dark and grim series, but it's something that I think all anime fans should definitely check out. So I loved this episode. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I love this whole series so far. I really love the concept of it, and it looks like it's poised to blow us all away. So check it out, guys. Great second episode. Thank you guys for watching my review today. Before you go, make sure to hit that like button so you can give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Zankyou no Terror, and what you hope to see from the rest of the series. You can also check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. We're always posting a lot of cool articles and videos on there, so make sure and check that out. I'll put some links for those in the description box below. So guys, that concludes my review today. Super Kami Guru 9000. Peace out, dudes.